And drop an A in the chat.
Now that we know where all our lovely participants are from, why don't we go over the guidelines?
Alright. Our first guideline is one mic. Keep your mic on mute to eliminate any extra noise in the background and so we can hear our facilitators even better. And drop a message in the chat to let us know when you want the mic.
Our next guideline is safe space. We can see your space and your place. Make sure you're in a neutral space and no one is on camera who doesn't want to be, and that you're honoring us by looking presentable and serious about what we're about to do. Also, keep your language clean and lead with kindness.
Seeing that y'all did so well in our chat for the borough check, I'm sure this next guideline won't be an issue. Well, a third guideline is participation. Be present and engage with the group, nodding, giving thumbs up or down, raising your hand to chime in with feedback so we can have the most fun and productive time.
Being that we are global kids, of course, our fourth guideline is global awareness. Right now, we are more connected as a global community than ever. So keep that in mind as you comment and share with us today.
Our last and final guideline, which is my personal favorite, is PBT. This stands for People Before Technology. While we are engaged here through technology, let's all be here together and be engaged with the group's activity, not on our phones or video games, etc. Just be with us and let's all have fun.
Can we all agree to these guidelines? Drop a yes in the chat.
So let's talk about why we're here today. I'm so happy to have you guys with us.
Well, we're here to talk about different aspects of gender equity like health, human trafficking, and education. Gender equity is especially important when it comes to the Black Lives Matter movement.
Over the past few weeks, we have all felt and witnessed the pain and anger across our nation, ignited by the murder of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and others among an overwhelmingly long list of names.
For these names, we would like to take a brief moment of silence for those who have died at the hands of police brutality. Over these past few days, we have seen plenty of actions and initiatives taken by leaders like you, which have been especially inspiring during a historically fitting time like Pride Month. On behalf of Global Kids, we see you, we hear you, and we're with you in this fight.
We have many great things planned today, so stick around. And now I'd like to introduce to you the Executive Director of Global Kids, Evie Hunzopoulos.
All right. Hi, everyone. How you doing? Hey, Global Kids. Well, way back in November, some of you joined together to form the Conference Planning Committee. You met every week to select the theme of gender equity and develop workshops and planned a day that was going to take place in person at Hunter College. And now here we are, virtually. So who would have thought that COVID would have hit us in the way that it did, and that your plans for the conference in person would be thwarted? But what I love so much about you Global Kids is that you are resilient and you are tenacious and you are creative and found a way to make this event happen virtually. So I know I can speak for all of the staff when I say we are so proud of you for putting this event together and we thank you for your work. And to all of you who are here as participants, I gotta commend you too, because it's not like it's a day when you can get out of school, right? So you're here because you care and you wanna be part of something. Our theme today is gender equity, and it's an incredibly important topic. But of course, like Abdullah and Gia said, we have to acknowledge that we're in the midst of a very painful yet pivotal time in our history, and we're seeing it unfold as we speak. The legacy of slavery carries forth to this moment in time, and in the wake are lynchings, criminalization, police brutality, voter suppression, so many things and so many lives lost. And so it's really important for us to say that Black Lives Matter. And another thing that I love about you Global Kids is that you understand that when we say Black Lives Matter, it doesn't mean that only Black Lives Matter. What it means is that we stand in solidarity and support and work to address the racism, the policies, and the discrimination that has denied a group of people their basic dignity and human rights for so long. And because today is about gender equity, our conference planners are also going to shine a light on something called intersectionality and how things like race, class, gender identity, sexual orientation, immigration status, disability, and other factors impact gender equity. So if there's one thing that I want you to take away from today is that we all need to do our best to take care of each other in this time. And that while we must strive to show love and kindness, we also have to fight for justice. Your voice is critical to making that happen. And we are seeing young people rise up to address racism and say that enough is enough. The Band-Aid's been ripped off and it's very painful, but it can't be ignored. It's important though that we remain hopeful and that we continue to fight for change and take action. And so there's so many ways that you can do that, global kids, but above all, we want you to be safe. So I'm going to leave you with some words from Shirley Chisholm, who was the first Black woman elected to Congress and the first woman, an African-American, to run for president. And she said that if you want a seat at the table, or if they don't want to give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair. So global kids, please make space for yourselves and demand it. Don't wait for it to be given to you. Hope you have a great day today. Thank you so much for your work. I want to thank the staff, Justine and Naomi in particular, for working with our conference planners and putting together a great day. So enjoy and peace.
All right, everyone. Thank you, Evie, for that amazing introduction. Thank you to the awesome MCs. My name is Justine. I am one of the conference coordinators, and this is Naomi. Naomi, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I am Naomi. I am also one of the conference coordinators, and I'm also a trainer at GK Q300 Middle School site. So.
Yes, so we're going to be leading you all through our Gender Equity 101 workshop. And big shout out to Sanaya and Renzo who helped write this workshop. All right, so before you'll all get to go into breakout rooms and learn about different aspects regarding gender equity, but this 101 will help set a framework for that and what we mean by gender equity. All right. However, in true GK fashion, we want to start off with a little icebreaker. So if you in the chat can tell us your name, your pronoun, your gender pronoun, and your travel wish. So that means drop a country that you have been to in the past or a country that you would like to go to in the near future. So let's see that chat box blow up with your name, gender pronoun, and a country that either you want to visit or that you have been to. All right, I'm seeing so many countries. We're going all around the world, y'all. I'm seeing Maldives, I'm seeing Taiwan, I'm seeing Jamaica, Spain. Yes, amazing. We're filling up our passports. Awesome. And so we'll keep that going. And then I want to pass on the mic to Naomi, who is going to break down what is gender equity and what is gender equality. So Naomi, take it away for us.
Awesome. All right. So again, welcome everyone. My name is Naomi. My gender pronouns is she, her, hers. Welcome to the 2020 first ever 2020 annual GK conference. So before we get started in our one-on-one workshop and discussing what the difference between gender equity and gender equality is, I just wanted to go over some key terms. I welcome anybody. If anybody would like to read the first word, that would be so awesome. The first definition, feel free to unmute yourself and read. If not, I could do it, but I would love to hear other voices. So who's gonna be my bold, brave participant?
And if folks can see the raise your hand feature, you can click on that button and we'll get a notification.
Awesome. Do we have any is anyone raising their hands?
I don't see anybody. I think folks are shy, so maybe
it's fine. I could take the first one. All right. So our first definition is sex.
I think I'm hearing from Zoe. So Zoe.
Zoe, hey, shout out to Q300.
Yes, Zoe. So go ahead and unmute your mic and read out that first term for us.
Distribution, property, equality, usage of properties by which organisms are classified as female, male, or intersex on the basis of their reproductive organs and functions.
Yes. All right, everyone. Shout out to Zoe for that awesome reading of the first definition. Who is next? I hear somebody.
I'm happy to take one, but I wasn't sure if trainers are allowed.
Of course, trainers are allowed.
This is Shanique from Transit. Gender, widely shared ideas and expectations concerning men and women and how they should behave in various situations, usually defined by geographic or cultural context.
Awesome. Thank you, Shanique. Yes, snaps for Shanique. Anybody else would like to take on another definition?
This is Devin. I can go.
Yes, Devin.
So gender equality refers to the equal rights, responsibilities, and opportunities of all genders. Equality does not mean that women and men will become the same, but that women and men's rights, responsibilities, and opportunities will not depend on whether they are born male or female.
Yes. Thank you, Devin, for that reading. Anybody else? Who's
Can I
next?
take the next one?
Yes.
So, gender stereotype, an oversimplified and/or unfair belief or idea that groups of people have particular characteristics or that all people in a group are the same.
Awesome. Thank you, Abdullah. I'm going to go ahead and take gender equity. Freedom of all genders to develop their personal abilities and make choices without limitations set by predefined stereotypes, gender roles, and/or prejudices. The different behaviors, aspirations, and need of both men and women are considered valued and favored equally, and the rights, responsibilities, and opportunities of a person are not dependent on whether they are born male or female. Awesome. We have 3 more. We need 3 more brave people out there to read the next 3 definitions. Who we got?
Gender stereotype.
Yes. We already read gender stereotypes, so you can go ahead and read personal gender pronouns.
Okay. When a person names the pronouns that they want to be referred to by in a singular third person, or referring to that person while talking to someone else. Example, she, her, hers, he, him, his, they, them, theirs, the is their person's name. Using the pronouns that a person goes by is a way of respecting that person's gender identity, or personal, emotional, and psychological sense of their own gender.
Awesome. Thank you, Daniel, for taking on that reading. 2 more. 2 more.
Sexual orientation. A person's sexual identity in relation to the gender to which they are attracted.
Awesome. And the last one. Yes, Talia.
CEDAW, Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women.
Awesome. Let's give a round of applause. Put some clapping emojis if you can. Put clap if you can. Shout out to all our readers, and thank you so much for reading all the key terms. These are really important, and we want to make sure that you guys keep all of these definitions in mind as you go throughout the conference. So the next thing we're going to talk about is gender equity. So as you all know, one second. Yeah, so as you all know, the theme of this year's conference is gender equity, a female fight. Nope. I know this. It is a human right, not a female fight. So when we're talking about, one of the reasons why we decided to go with gender equity instead of equality is because there is a slight difference in how we view equity versus equality. So to get this started, we wanted to invite everyone to kind of speak on what they see in this image right now. So if you're looking at this image, what do you see? Feel free to type it in the chat. Feel free to unmute yourself and speak on what you see in this image and how it makes you feel and what's going on. So I welcome anybody and invite
So
all of you.
what I see in this image is in the first one where it says equality, each of the three people is given the same thing, but not everyone can see. Only the two taller people can see, and the person who is shorter, even with that boost, can't see. And the tallest person is much tall and can really see, can't just see a little bit. But then in the equity picture, the tallest person's box has been given to the smallest person, and now all three of them can see, and they're all also, their heads are about the same level, so they all have the same view.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Izzy, for sharing. Anybody else would like to add on Izzy's thoughts? And
in the chat, it's blowing up with some really
perfect. Thank you. I can't see the chat.
Yes. So there were some folks that were saying equal doesn't mean fair, right? So to sum it up, even though everybody has boxes in equality, it doesn't mean it's fair or just, because not everybody is still getting what they need. So really great insights from the chat boxes right here. So
awesome. Thank you all for sharing your thoughts. I can't see the chat, so I'm gonna welcome Justine to read some of the responses for us like she just did. But yes, everyone who shared their opinion is absolutely correct. Thank you for sharing your opinions. As we move forward, when we're thinking about what we saw in the first image, it was assumed that everyone will benefit from the same supports and they're being treated equally. And although we do want everyone to be treated equally, not everyone who are treated equally, the resources provided to other people are not the same across the board. Like what I need as a Black woman is different from what somebody else would need. So in thinking about that, in the second image, individuals given different supports to make it possible for them to have equal access to the game, they're being treated equitably. So the shortest person in this image is given enough resources to see the game, while other people are given other resources and other people are not given any resources because they don't need it. So keeping that in mind as we're speaking about equity and equality. Our goal though, even though we want equity in the world, gender equity in the world, our goal though is to make it so that all three can see the game without any supports and accommodation, because the cause of the inequity was addressed. So the systematic barrier has been removed. So that is our goal, to remove that barrier of gender, the gender binary barrier, and all the different barriers that are applied to gender oppression. So let's keep that in mind as we move forward to throughout this conference. Any thoughts, questions? Anybody else want to add any insights? Can't see the chat, so Justine's got it, but you are welcome to unmute yourself and add any more things if you have any other thoughts on this.
So something interesting that I saw was from Naomi Sampson, because she was saying that this image reminds her of the Brown versus Board of Ed Supreme case. So Naomi, if you're comfortable with unmuting your mic and maybe saying a little something about that, we'd love to hear from you.
Okay, so for me, I just think of Brown versus Board of Ed because it dealt with a whole issue of separate but equal, which was based on the previous precedent case, which was Plessy versus Ferguson, where the Supreme Court basically ruled that African Americans could be separated even if they were equal, even if they were separated, while, you know, the Brown versus Board of Ed said that that's inherently unconstitutional because you can be equal if you're separate and you don't have access to the same things. And it goes back to equality, where you can have the same, but you can have equal amounts, but it could still be like different quality and different other factors, even if you're equal.
Absolutely, Naomi. Thank you so much. My name twin out here coming with the case studies. Exactly.
Name twin.
Yes. I appreciate that. And that is absolutely correct. Just because we are given equal amounts of resources doesn't mean that those resources are equitable across the board. So thank you so much for sharing that. I just want to add one more thing before we move on to our main activity, and that is, according to the United Nations Population Fund, gender equity is the process of being fair to women and men. To ensure fairness, strategies and measures must often be available to compensate for women's historical and social disadvantages that prevent women and men otherwise operating on a level playing field. Equity leads to equality. So awesome job, everyone. Thank you so much for all your insights. Right now, we're going to move on. So keeping everything that we just talked about in mind and keeping and understanding a little bit about why we chose gender equity specifically instead of equality for this theme, we're going to go ahead and look at the CEDAW. So as mentioned previously, the CEDAW is the Convention on Elimination hold on. Somebody help me out. I forgot. Hold on, I got it. It's the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. So we're gonna, a lot of our workshops and what we're gonna discuss today is inspired specifically by the CEDAW. And so we're gonna look at this video and kind of get a better understanding and grasp of what the CEDAW means. So here we go.
CEDAW, the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, is an international human rights treaty that focuses on women's rights and women's issues worldwide. It follows the following three principles: substantive equality, non-discrimination, and state obligation. This video explains the principle of substantive equality. There are many contributing reasons to inequality. Some people are born with much more access and opportunities as compared to others. Gender stereotypes enforce the difference between men and women. It labels women as weak and in need of protection. But in reality, both men and women share the same traits except for reproductive capabilities. Women and men are different, but ultimately, we're equal. Inequality between men and women is also reinforced by the patriarchy system that sees men as leaders. Some people argue that men should have greater rights to economic resources because they have the responsibility of providing for their family. However, this belief does not match reality. Today, women are unmarried, divorced, widowed, or otherwise separated or abandoned by circumstances and are the sole providers. In Southeast Asia, many households are headed by women. It is estimated that 70% of the world's poor are women. Equality for women can be viewed in three approaches: formal, protectionist, and corrective. In the formal approach, society ignores that men and women are actually different. It follows the male standards, disregarding women's special needs. For example, a factory allows men and women to take night shifts, but if the factory is not well lit, it can lead to assaults. This may discourage women from doing night shifts. In the protectionist approach, women lose opportunities because they are perceived as vulnerable and prohibited from participating in certain activities. In the same example, the factory has a policy of not employing women on night shifts to protect them from being assaulted. This does not address the problem and denies women extra income. In the corrective approach, priority is given to correct the environment in order to benefit both men and women equally. The factory could install more lights and provide transport for women in order to create a safe and enabling environment for them to work night shifts. Corrective approach leads to substantive equality. It recognizes differences but affirms equality between men and women. It places an obligation to correct the environment that disadvantages them. It evens out the playing field, and it requires laws and policies to take gender perspective into account. Substantive equality ensures that women have equality in opportunities, equality in accessing those opportunities, and equality in getting results or benefits. This video covers substantive equality, one of 3 CEDAW principles.
Awesome. So that's the end of the video. I'm going to pass the mic to to Justine, and she is going to talk about primary.
Well, thank you, Naomi, and thank you everyone who's been participating so far. We really enjoy hearing your voices and seeing your remarks in the chat. So for this next activity, we are going to, actually, you know what, before this next activity, let's get some reactions about the video that we just saw. So if you enjoyed the video, if that broke things down easier for you to understand what gender equity means, let's see your thumbs up. You can click on the reactions on your screen, or you can comment in the chat box below, so you all can get a conversation going on that. All right, so we're going to be talking about the CEDAW a lot today. As Naomi said, it'll be the foundation of our workshops and the topics that you'll be hearing more from today. So you'll be learning more about what the CEDAW says and does to promote education, health, trafficking, so on and so forth. But before we send you off into your breakout sessions, we have a little more in store for you to help you get the most out of this learning experience, right? So part of that is learning about gender binaries. So what we want everyone to do is to think about some common gender roles or stereotypes, right, that you may or may not have performed, right? So some examples are, you're a girl, you can't play sports, or why are you crying? You're a boy. Boys aren't supposed to cry. So you can put that into the chats, or you can also go ahead and unmute your mics and offer some suggestions as it relates to that prompt. So you can list your favorite activities, colors, what you want to be when you grow up, and what gender stereotype it is connected to.
I have one.
Go ahead, Abdullah.
My sister will do the dishes while I take out the trash or like help out in the garden.
Okay. All right.
'Cause I'm the one who has to go outside in the heat, while my sister she has to vacuum and do the dishes.
Yeah, so that's really interesting, right? So it's almost like men belong outside and girls are supposed to stay inside and be domestic and do the domestic work, right?
Yep.
I see that Amanda says men have to babysit their kids. So Amanda, I'd like to invite you to unmute your mic and let us know what you mean by that.
Hi, everybody. You can hear me. Yeah, so I have a 3-year-old, and this is something that becomes really apparent when you do have a kid. There is this social perception that it's kind of amazing when a man is helping out with housework or taking care of the child, and kind of like, oh, you're such a good babysitter or whatever, versus seeing them as a primary caretaker, whereas the woman is seen, the woman's role in rearing the child is seen as the primary parental role. So that can be very frustrating, I think, for women, especially when they have another job outside of the home. And I think men sometimes get more credit for doing child rearing activities than women get for the same thing. So
awesome, thank you for that. I'm seeing also several comments with girls should know how to cook, right? So I think that also connects back with what Abdullah was saying before about how his sister has chores inside of that house, right? Definitely. So y'all are getting the idea and you're staying really sharp with it. So we thank you for that. All right, so for keeping that in mind, what we want you to do is you're going to see a series of slides coming up, right? So each slide has one image. And so we kind of want everybody to kind of play like an association game. So, so you can, again, get involved in the chat. You can also raise your hand, so on and so forth. All right. So we want you to basically let us know what you think each image is more associated with. All right. So the choices are is this image more associated with women and girls, men or boys, or both? Y'all ready?
And just to follow up with Justine's directions, so what you're gonna do is when you see the image, you're gonna tell us what it's typically associated with. And then you're gonna tell us what the breaking the binary perspective is. Meaning like, is this image only associated with a specific gender, or can it be women, men, or both? All right, so let us know in the chat if that was clear. Put a 1 in the chat if that you understood that. Put a thumbs up if you understood that. If you need further directions, put a 2 in the chat so that we can clarify. Just
All right, a lot of ones. Naomi, can you repeat that again, please? We have a request for a repeat.
Yes, so in the next slide, you're gonna see a series of images. There's gonna be one image. Your job is to tell me or tell the participants what that image is typically associated with. So if I say, for example, using my phone, is that typically associated with women, people texting too much? Is that typically associated with women, men, or both? If it's both, then it's both. However, say for example, you said it was women, what the breaking the binary perspective, which is basically like moving beyond male and female, can can using my phone or texting on my phone too much be associated with everybody? So that is what we're trying to get that. You'll see as we play the game how it works. But 1, 2. Did people get it? Put a 1 if you got it. Put a 2 if you need further directions.
All right, I'm seeing those ones.
All right, awesome.
We're good to go.
All right. So our first image is painting your nails. What is the typical association with painting your nails? You can put
Woman.
Woman. I hear someone said woman. Right. What's the chat looking like, Justine? I can't see it.
I'm seeing all women, all girls, not one that has to do with men. Okay, so I saw one comment with women's, girls, and boys. All right.
So if we're trying to break the binary and we're trying to move past the male and female binary, what is painting your nails? What can painting your nails be associated with? Can everybody paint their nails?
Woman.
All right, so Letitia, I'm hearing from you. She said that it can be both, right? So Letitia, can you unmute your mic and let us know what you mean by that?
I said that it can be both because nowadays, like more men are starting to like show themselves, show their true colors, and like how they express themselves, and like more men are like they're not afraid anymore to paint their nails. Like I said, that it could be for both people because it doesn't really matter what you choose.
Awesome, right on point, right? So the idea to that thinking beyond the binary or is everybody has nails, right? So if everybody has nails, they can paint their nails, right? So, all right, let's go to the next slide.
Toolbox. Using tools. What is a typical association when we're using toolbox? What do we got?
Okay, I'm seeing the exact opposite from the past slide. So the first slide, the previous slide, mostly everybody said women, but for this one, it looks like most folks are saying that the association with tools is with men.
Awesome.
Right.
What is the breaking the binary perspective on using tools?
I do see one person standing strong though, Daniel, who said women and men, right? So both. So Daniel, let us know what you think by that. Can you unmute your mic, please?
Yeah, sure. I feel like in today's day and age, especially what is it? like with technology being more accessible to everyone, I feel like the idea of tools like over time has changed that it's not only where men per se could just use it now, it could be also used by women.
Awesome. And I'm also seeing in the chat, Miguel Arista, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, has seen women be mechanics before. So Miguel, let us know about that account.
Yeah, so back like usually when I used to ride with my grandpa around, we would usually pass by places that like places that had like garages and places like that where it was mechanics. I usually see women actually work on fixing cars, and I even thought to myself, this is actually equal in this case, because most jobs they would be like, oh, it's just men only, but in this case now it's both genders can work in the same job regardless.
Definitely. Right. So thank you for sharing that experience. So you were in an actual shop and it was filled with female or women employees doing the mechanical work. So that's awesome. All right. So let's go on to the next slide.
Playing sports. Is playing sports, what is playing sports typically, which gender is playing sports typically associated with?
Okay, I've seen a lot of both.
Exactly.
Which is great and which is true.
Exactly.
All right, so does someone want to unmute their mic? Maybe someone that hasn't gone yet. I'm seeing we have 115 participants, y'all. That's mad people. So I think we can hear more voices, right? So if you have not spoken yet, I extra invite you to unmute your mic and tell us what you mean by both.
I think that it's both because it's well, maybe before, like a few years ago, it was probably just like men, but now I think it's both because like our society has gotten like more developed, and so now we have like women's soccer team and things like that, and so it's just usually associated with both now because we like know that it doesn't really matter which gender you are.
Yeah, that was an awesome explanation. So I especially enjoyed the part that where you mentioned maybe a few years ago, right? It would have been different. Maybe these answers in the chat would have been different and we would have seen more men, right? But I think that also is kind of a testament to how things are changing and are progressing because of the way we see more female teams like the U.S. women's soccer team who brought the trophy home for us, right? And just prominent female teams and women teams all around the world. So thank you. All right, let's go to the next slide.
I want to give a special shout out. That is one of my Q300 students.
Yes, Q300. We see you.
And shout out to everybody else who's participating right now. I really appreciate it. All right, so we're gonna go to the next slide. Showing emotions. What is that typically? Which gender is that typically associated with? Showing emotion or being emotional.
All right, so I'm
woman or both.
A lot of both.
Like some feelings are for men, some feelings for women.
Okay, so interesting. So feelings
like half and half.
Okay.
I mean, everyone shows emotions.
So I think, I'm sorry, I didn't get your name for the person who spoke. And I think maybe from this point forward, if you do unmute your mic, please do,
my name's Kaden.
Okay. Oh, Kaden, I saw you in the chat. What's up?
Hi.
All right. So Kaden, what did you mean by some men show some emotions?
So maybe because when people think feelings, they probably think like women are more nervous or eager to show love and affection.
Mm-hmm.
And like those feelings that I feel like men are more eager to show anger or like swag.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that.
Okay. Very interesting.
Can I say something?
Sure. What is your name?
Talia.
Hey, Julia.
Talia.
Oh, Tulia. Sorry.
I disagree because it's like everyone shows emotion, even if you're a woman or a man. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So regardless of what type of emotion.
I'd like something to say. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Is that Kaden again?
Oh no, this is Rachel.
Okay. Hey, Rachel.
Hello. Okay, so here's how I feel about it. Like, yes, everyone does feel emotions, but like not everyone feels every emotion, like concerning how society like wants us to. Like men aren't allowed to cry, but then women are. And then like more negative emotions like anger are shown more in like men, and in women it's like not as extreme.
Awesome. Thank you for your thoughts. All right, so let's keep it moving. Definitely, you can keep the conversations going in the chat as well. All right, next slide.
Is being the president of the United States, which gender is that typically associated with? Women, men, or both? Or being the president of any organization?
Both, because Hillary Clinton tried to run for president.
Right.
Awesome. So I'm seeing, oh my goodness, the chat is going crazy. I love it. So I saw someone type in it scrolled up really quickly that it is associated with men, but it should be both. All right. And I'm seeing some cosigns in there.
Hey, Justine, can I say something real quick?
Sure. That sounds like Ariel. Is that
Yeah, hi. Sorry, my throat is going in and out today. Speaking of, we were talking about being president, and we talked the last question about being emotional. Hillary Clinton actually was seen as not being emotional, and that's why people didn't like her. I'm using air quotes that you can't see right now. And she wasn't likable because she didn't show emotion. And then when she did show a little bit of emotion, she was still ridiculed by the media as being an overly emotional older woman. So I just wanted to put that out there of it's like you can't win for losing. And I just wanted to put that out there by Hillary Clinton because I'm still a little bitter.
And you are entitled to that, definitely. But that is definitely another layer to it, right? So if folks are performing outside of the binary and other folks are not used to it, there are consequences there, right? So I think that example that you gave, Ariel, is really in tune with the fact of what society is still putting on both men and women, and the consequences that it has for them and just for our society as we move forward. All right, so awesome discussion, folks. Loving it. Let's go to the next slide.
Right.
Okay, what is going
on? Is having a baby or being pregnant, which gender is that typically associated with?
Woman.
Okay, I'm seeing overwhelmingly women.
And so if we're moving beyond the the binary perspective, which gender can that be associated with?
Oh, I actually still think it's woman because, well, men can't exactly give birth. So, I mean, I guess that's kind of what, like, I guess that's kind of part of the problem though, because if like both genders, let's say, like have a fight or something, and they think like the man is stronger, but then the woman gives birth, and then so technically because the woman gives birth, it makes it even.
Right.
I think.
Awesome. Thank you. And what is your name again?
Yuan.
Tilan. Thank you, Tilan. All right.
Yuan.
some folks in the chat. So there are, Miguel is requesting to unmute his mic. And so you are more than welcome, Miguel. Go for it.
All right. So it is technically possible for men to give birth because you can basically have more than one reproductive organ if you're lucky, or you can have surgery to basically remove your current reproductive organ and get it replaced if you're going through a gender dysphoria or if you're already transgender. And then you could also have both reproductive organs, which could have a possibility of being pregnant.
Right. Miguel.
All right.
Right.
And we have two more folks who would like to speak. So I'm gonna call on Natanya. I'm sorry if I hope I pronounced your name correctly, and then Daniel, and then we'll move on to the next. All right. So Natanya, you have the mic.
I think only women, could naturally could have babies because it's more natural, and like I don't. If a man could do it if they want to, but naturally, I would think a woman should have it, and it's actually a good thing because like it makes us stand out. We have something different, than what the man has.
All right, awesome. Thank you for that. And then Daniel.
Hi, I'm Daniel, and I feel like it's basically for women because like they're the gender with the reproductive system, or a trans man who chooses to give birth, maybe in like they're in a family and he chooses to raise the baby. Yeah, I feel like those are the main genders that can actually reproduce. Yeah, thank you.
All right, awesome. And with that, I want to pass the mic back to Naomi, who will give us the explanation for that. I see other folks want to unmute. I see you, but we do also have to keep it moving. So I invite you to participate in other areas of the conference as well.
Awesome. Again, yes. Thank you everyone for sharing, for bringing up your thoughts and sharing your thoughts and ideas about what this image was. So this was supposed to be a trick question, and the moving past the binary perspective is that anybody with a uterus can have a baby. So we have a lot of transgender people who decide to keep their reproductive organs, which allows them to be pregnant and have a baby. So that is the answer to this question. But moving forward, when we're thinking about all of these images and we're thinking about breaking the binary perspective, it's very important to think about how the ways in which we play into all of these roles and the ways in which we work at trying to break these perspectives. So to close out this Gender 101 workshop, we wanted to kind of invite you all to think about breaking the binary and thinking about like, whenever people introduce you as ladies and gentlemen, is that just a binary? Yeah, because you're only talking about ladies and gentlemen. Gender is an entire spectrum, and we're losing a whole population of people who don't fit into ladies and gentlemen. So instead of saying ladies and gentlemen, you could say honored guests, distinguished guests. We're talking about boys, guys, girls, ladies. We could say y'all, folks, people, guests. We're talking about girlfriend, boyfriend. We could say partner, date mate, babe, heart, significant other. When we're talking about girl, boy, man, woman, we could talk about person, human. And these are ways that are breaking the binary. And all the images that we saw, every gender across the spectrum can relate and associate it with that image. It's not just women, men, it's all genders. So we're gonna go ahead and do like one processing question. That's just to keep in the interest of time. And so put a 1 in the chat if you learned something, or put a thumbs up or thumbs down if like any of this was interesting to you. And the question that I would like to ask is, was there anything surprising or not surprising to you? Why or why not? So you're welcome to unmute yourself. We're going to take about like 2 to 3 people, and then we're going to move forward. All right, so the question is, was there anything surprising, not surprising to you? Why or why not? What's the chat looking like, Justine?
I've seen a lot of ones, which indicates that folks learned something today. So I would say that if you were one of the folks who typed in a 1, unmute your mic and let us know about what you might have learned from this activity. All right. I think I'm gonna call on Rachel. Rachel Teray, are you in the house?
Yes.
Hi, Rachel.
Hi.
All right, so tell us what you learned about today so far.
So I learned like right here, I learned the difference of the flags because I know like I want to be an ally for the LGBT community, and like sometimes I'd see the flags and I'd get really confused about which one's which. So seeing this, like it's like showing just a few of them, like it kind of clears some things up for me.
Amazing. So thank you for sharing that, by the way. And I think that was awesome that you mentioned allyship as well. So that's really important too. So and that goes back to how can we show up for one another. All right. Cool. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Awesome. Make sure you keep this conversation going in your breakout session. Next up, as we move forward in the conference, we're going to do some showcase some performances. So our first performance of the day, well, kind of third, but it's shout out to GKDC, and the title of this performance is Be Who You Are. Enjoy.
It doesn't matter if you're young, if you're old, if you're queer, if you're questioning, if you're gay, if you're bi, if you just think a girl is cute. You have the right to be who you are. June Jordan says, I am not wrong. Wrong is not my name. And your name is just right.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, GK, yeah. Global leaders, yeah, let's go. Be who you are. Everyone deserves to be free, no matter your sexual identity. Be who you are. This song we sing, use the love between you and me. So be who you are. Who you are. Everyone deserves to be free, no matter your sexual identity. Be who you are. This song we sing, use the love between you and me. So be who you are. Everyone deserves to be free, no matter your sexual identity. So be who you are. This song we sing, use the love between you and me. So be who you are. 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 Yeah.
All right.
It doesn't matter if you're...
Yes, yes, yes. Let's give it up for GKDC. Woo woo. Thank you, GKDC team. That was amazing. So next up, I want to introduce, first of all, I want to shout out Gia. This is Justine again, everybody. Gia had to actually step out and leave for her virtual graduation. So congrats to her. And up next, we have 2 amazing steppers from Mel. So if you're a Mel student, let's see you in the chat, represent, and let's show some love to Genesis and Kaya.
Put it out the coupe in the lot. Pull up, swat, busting all the bells out the box. I just hit a lick with the box, had to put the stick in the box. Pour up the whole deal, I'ma get lazy. I got the mojo deals, we been trapping like the 80s. So, got the cash out. Told them white one, no, say slash slash. I won't never sell my soul, and I can back that. And I really wanna know where you at, where? I was set back, where the stash at? Cruise the city in a bulletproof Cadillac. Cause I know these got to where the bag at. Gotta move smarter, gotta move harder. Try to give me 5 mile water. I lay down on my son, on my daughter. I had the Draco with me, Dwayne Carter. A lot of out here playing, ain't ballin'. I done put my whole arm in the rim, bitch car. And I know Poppy get a key for the pump. Shot it better seen double C's, I fuck. Got that looking like a leader, she a mother. I got the pink slip up my whip, ski lift. Counting, I'm about to get the key to the city. Forget it out the coupe at the lot. Pull up, swat, busting all the bells out the box. I just hit a lick with the box, had to put the stick in the box. Pour up the whole deal, I'ma get lazy. I got the mojo deals, we been trying.
All right. Thank you to Genesis and Kaya for representing males to the fullest. Next, we have two more talented male students who will be playing a familiar tune for us on the piano. Welcome, William and Elias. All right. Wow, that was awesome. I have no words for it. So, what do we have next, Justine?
Havana, na, na, na. I just had to put that out there. All right. So thank you, everyone. This concludes for our opening plenary. And what we're actually about to do next is go into our breakout sessions. So you'll be hearing a lot about specific things as it relates to the CEDA. And the 5 breakout sessions that we have are Trafficking and Exploitation by Daniel and Amira. Education by Abdullah and Johan with GK staff Sarah, Gender Equity Before the Law with Guadalupe, Izzy, and GK staff Yusuf, Participation at the International Level by Sabrina and Jordan with Naomi as their staff, and Health by Andre and Gordon on behalf of Jillian and Farouk and Megan. All right, so hang tight during this portion because you will be sent to your breakout rooms and we will begin with that session shortly. So enjoy, everyone.